Hello everyone, I'm Danny DeHeck. Thank you for tuning in to my video. This video is about Jonathan Mason and his involvement as a co-conspirator for Goliath Ventures. Now, Jonathan's been busy in the courtroom, and I want to show you the filings. I want to show you his argument. I want to show you somebody who claims that he didn't know that Christopher was running a large-scale Ponzi scheme or scam. And he's trying to defend himself, and he's trying to say, I'm a victim. Some of the things that he's claiming is the fact that he had money invested with Goliath, and he lost that money. But he also used that to prove that it was a legitimate platform, because I wouldn't invest my money if I didn't think it was a scam. The contradictions are actually quite hard to swallow. Just recently I got told by some people way up the very top of the chain that no one else is going to be charged in connection to the Goliath Ventures investigation. So all you co-conspirators out there, you might think that you've got away with a get out of jail free card, and that would probably be quite valid. However, you may also notice that you've been subpoenaed and your financials are also being requested by the courts. So whether you get to keep the money is yet to be seen, but it wouldn't surprise me if you get to keep the money and you don't go to jail. Now, you'll get a bit cocky, and one day you'll start up your own venture, and then we'll get you. But in the meantime, it looks like you get out of jail free. For those who don't know, I was the original whistleblower back in the 1st of September. We published our first bit of information on the 3rd of September. On the 3rd of September, they closed the company down in Florida, and I thought, wow, that was one of the easiest investigations I've ever done. But they reopened Goliath Ventures in Wyoming on the 3rd of September as well. Not only that, a bookkeeper that was nobody had a business called Nadia Bringus Bookkeeping. A bookkeeper was controlling a company that now we know turned over $425 million worth of funds. That bookkeeper also shut down her company on the 2nd of September and reopened it on the 3rd of September in Wyoming, which was all done by Harry J. Samuels, which was a person that said he was just providing professional services to Goliath's enterprises, because they were all told by Matt Burks, a guy that owned a company called Black Block, not to be mistaken as Black Rock, also was the co-founder of another company called MyWebMD, which stands for something web doctors. But anyway, long story short, they weren't real companies, but they were responsible for doing the audits, keeping the peace of mind. Matt Burks did the audits for Goliath Ventures, and also you're going to find out in this blog that gave Jonathan Mason peace of mind that when the audit was done by a fake audit company, they claimed that 115% of investors' money, I don't know where the 15% come from when I'm just saying that out loud, was secured at all times in 2024. All these audits and all these fake companies gave people peace of mind, along with the lifestyle marketing that was pretty paramount. Now, Christopher Delgado, I think he had 12 vehicles, 50 watches, and luxury homes all around Florida. And all that there, they reckon they've received hardly nothing back. I think Christopher spent $51 million on personal spend. Also, we've got other claims where they had $174 million paid out to the co-conspirators who were promoting it. And also they paid out dividends to investors. Some investors are net winners, meaning they got their seed money out, made more money than a ball can shit, and then left the platform and never to be seen again. Now, you'd think all these will be traced back to those people, and they'll have to pay back what they call claw back the money. That is my hope. My team of Avengers have been working around the clock on this one. I've probably published about 80 blogs, and I've done well over 100 videos on just Goliath Ventures. But we started up an operation a wee while ago called Operation Elephant. And Operation Elephant is quite a mouthful. But how do you eat an elephant, you may ask? Well, come down to Operation Elephant here. We tell people when Christopher Delgado was arrested, many people assumed the investigation was over. I disagreed. I'm starting to change my mind. Well, Christopher's in here. I'm talking about all the co-conspirators, and I might even have a picture. But if you want more background of what's been happening, by all means, come check out these articles that we've been writing, because there's around about 80 blogs. For example, one here, 279 foreign victims. Well, we had Christopher talking to Channel 9 News, talking to Darlene Jones, spouting off that only 99.9% of all investors come from America. So The evidence speaks louder than Chris's own lying words, because here we can see now that 279 foreign victims, and we've got them from Canada, Brazil, United Kingdom, Spain, Denmark, Germany, UAE, Cambodia, and even Australia. And we reached out to many of these victims, and we just got this sound. No sound. So it's been quite a disheartening journey. But however, within 6 months, we had somebody who pleaded guilty to all the charges. They have tried suing me in the American courts, but they don't have jurisdiction, which has been quite a laugh, and since obviously dropped the case because they had no grounds for it. The CFTC has even mentioned about this journalist, number one, I don't know why they don't name me, who was sued for claiming they were running a Ponzi scheme, and in their defense, they were claiming they were not running a Ponzi scheme. Well, it's exactly what they were running. It was a large-scale Ponzi scheme with many co-conspirators. The word co-conspirators I've never seen in any other documents other than the ones that we see from the CFTC and the SEC. They now talk about co-conspirators, but there doesn't seem to be a category in the investigation or the prosecution side of it where they actually go after co-conspirators and make them accountable for their actions. All the co-conspirators can sit there with their hands in the air saying, I thought it was real, true, and genuine. Now, anyone with a calculator can work out that to sustain a company that pays out 3 to 10% per month is ridiculous, especially when they guaranteed that the money that you invest is insured, and also that the big pool of money that they've been collecting is sitting somewhere safe, but they never give you a place to see it. Jonathan Mason is the guy that we're going to be looking at today. We've got videos of him, not videos, we've got voice clips of him claiming not only is he an investor. If we have a wee listen to this for a second, this will blow your mind, but let's just have a listen to this. It's 18 minutes long. We'll just play a couple of minutes of it so you get the gist of what he's saying.
Some rich friends that want to make some real money on a
Now, this is actually breathtaking.
They can see the fucking fidelity bond. They're going to see the attestations by the CPA, by the SEC attorneys, proof of funds, proof of concept, proof of return. Everything's there. Quarterly meetings is on a...
Well, going by the CFTC and the SEC now that he's talking, the proof is not there. And the legal documents that have come out that Channel 9 news readers are reading, like they're breaking the news, we can see that isn't true.
It's literally a hedge fund. If you have some rich friends that want to make some real money on a regulated platform, I'm more than happy to get you in touch with my guy, Matt, and we can start helping these people get their funds out. Now, we can also make an arrangement if they want to help out and start helping other people get their funds out. Do shit, though. But I know there's a victim list. I don't know what that does. I talked to my attorney tonight. He's like, wait a little bit. Let me see what's going on. Because I know there's a specific link for that. I saw it on the web. Is that going to do anything? Because there used to be a fucking number on a claim, but it's best to have an attorney fucking do it. So I want my attorney to see what's going on. So let me get some clarity on that, what our best direction is. Remember, and Raul, I got over $7 million in there with the family. My brother's money, Moody's money, my dad's money. So understand, if I fucking knew anything, I would pull that shit out. It's a shit show, but here's what I'm working on. Okay? I have no control over Goliath. I've made no decisions, no knowledge, nada. But all I can do is try to help those that really fucking need it. Because I know a lot of people need those funds. You know, what's the process of getting the funds out? Is Chris going to be given a slap in the wrist? Is this going to be disproven? Is this a bunch of bullshit? Are they fucking really trying to put him in a corner? Like, what's really going on? So we need to get some answers, not just the accusations. You know, I'm going to speak with the attorneys tomorrow. I'll get some updates from them. I will let everybody know. But right now, everyone can take a deep breath. Again, wallets are there. Chad looked at them literally 20 minutes ago, half an hour now. And we're just waiting to get some answers as far as what's going on with the case. But if you look at what I sent you in that link, there's a lot of holes in the affidavit. Things just don't make sense. All right.
Hey, brother. I want to get you on the phone with my buddy Tomo, who has been with Goliath, but he's also 12 years retired, law enforcement. Did a lot of federal stuff, knows the ins and outs of this, and a lot of experience. I had him talk to Christian last night. He has a much better idea, feels much better about the situation. Media's blowing the shit up, but I want you to hear it from them that have experience in this to give you a little bit more of a peace of mind of what's really going on, and we can find a solution to everything. So give me a little bit, just obviously every phone call I'm making is 20, 30 minutes. I'm only talking to 1 to 2 people an hour. I'm just trying to get to everybody. So didn't forget you. Thank you for your patience and understanding with what's going on. I'm just working to figure out a solution to everything.
So if you want to listen to that, you can. But what we're doing today with this video is I'm showing to you guys that even though these guys keep the carnival alive with their lies, with their half-cocked information, these same individuals, Jonathan Mason, is now coming back telling everybody that they are victims. They didn't know the truth. In these phone calls, the guy he's actually talking to invested $9 million into Goliath Ventures. He took out all his family's money and everything and pulled it all together and put it into Goliath. He was getting $500,000 dividends each month for his investments. $500,000 a month. He was reinvesting $250,000 a month into his own investment with Goliath. And the other $250,000 he was using to pay the wages for his staff. When Goliath fell over, he lost everything and he wasn't getting any dividends to pay out. So he came up with an extraordinary claim where he told Christopher he wanted to take his money out so he could refinance and put $50 million back into Goliath. Now, in the videos that we saw Christopher in Channel 9 News, we heard Christopher talking about how they just about got a $50 million investor. So he actually had Chris believing he had an investor for $50 million. And he also told Chris that there was another guy, a corporation, that may be interested in investing $200 million. Christopher said at that time they would have restructured the company. The burn rate at the time for Goliath Ventures, going by what Chris says, whether you can believe it or not, he claimed that it was costing $3.5 million a month to keep the dividends going out and keeping the carnival alive. So these guys, my question to you and also to Will, do these people like Jonathan Mason, are they responsible for the growth of Goliath Ventures? Now, it doesn't matter whether Jonathan Mason goes to prison or not. Well, it does to me. But he is still a co-conspirator. He is still an individual that may have to pay back all the money that he invested or he helped generate for Goliath Ventures. So he might be financially ruined even if he doesn't do jail time. Just like Christopher has been ordered to pay back $250 million, Jonathan, if found guilty or benefiting from a Ponzi scheme, the clawbacks will hurt him for the rest of his life. He might be a fast-talking insurance salesman. He might think he can sit here in a video. Now, in this video, he's telling the guy that has just lost $9 million that he could find his rich mates to invest and he would give them a backhander for investments. He said they can't guarantee the returns they were getting from Goliath Ventures. However, his mate Matt is now running another investment opportunity that apparently is all tickly-boo with all the legal entities. Not like Goliath, as he said in that video. This one's the real deal, not like Goliath. So, end story is, these videos condemn Jonathan. He's claiming he's a victim. He's claiming he didn't know it wasn't real. He's pitching another service to people that have lost money to use that service or that investment opportunity to trade their way out of the disaster they've got. Everything that we've just told you here is what I see every day. And this guy now gets to walk free. And he's trying to claim his innocence. And in this blog, if you are a big fan of Jonathan Mason and the people that you've been promoted to, now we're going through the proof of claims and we can see how people got introduced to Goliath Ventures. And Jonathan Mason was a big part of it. And there's many of the other co-conspirators we talk about at the moment. So this is Jonathan. If you are going to do business with Jonathan, he is a co-conspirator to one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in America. I hope that if you're thinking about employing him or using him to do anything in the financial sector, you will ask him for his license and you'll demand answers on his involvement with Goliath Ventures, because this man needs to be held accountable. If the government's not going to be holding these guys accountable, then maybe we can as people. Now, I'm no doubt going to bump into him in the courtroom. I hope he's going to be there because I will be in Orlando and I'll be there on the 21st in the courtroom. And as I showed people just recently, I have a victim statement that I'm going to be reading out if they let me. And I say that, I'll just see if I can bring that up. But just last night I thought, well, I'm a victim because I'm the one that was going to get sued by them. So this is a victim statement. You can go to my YouTube channel, click on post and go through there about 20 posts back, and you'll find there's a place there where you can actually become a victim and you can post your statement. Now, I am a victim. I didn't invest money in Goliath Ventures, but they did try to sue me. They offered me $150,000 if I took down my videos, wrote a Dear John letter, and they wanted to know who was bankrolling me. Well, that would have been a hard thing for me to prove because no one bankrolls me to do what I do. So here I basically make it really obvious. I never invested in Goliath Ventures. I never received any withdrawals or distributions, commissions, referral payments, or any other financial benefits from Goliath Ventures or Christopher Delgado. My involvement as an independent investor, a whistleblower, an investigator who investigated the operation, raised the concerns, publicly reported the information to authorities, and supported investors who came to me for help. So I want to tell them, the impact it had on my life. I travelled from New Zealand to present the financial fraud, because financial fraud destroys lives. We've already had people who have died by suicide in connection to Goliath Ventures. So it's just a sad affair. But anyway, I thought, why can't I be one of those people and tell my story? Now, let's have a look at this. We're going to go enlarging this until we get to this point. I'm going to, I've summarized this blog because this is a marathon blog, but everything needs to be documented historically. And we want to also, we've included all the court documents that Jonathan Mason has been firing back and forth in the courtroom. And there may be more to come, and we may amend this blog in the future. But let me read a summary of the investigation so you know how the story actually starts.
This investigation isn't about assuming everybody around Christopher Delgado knew Goliath was a Ponzi scheme. It's about Jonathan Mason's role, what he communicated to investors, and what evidence he was relying on. The document that really caught my attention is a November 18, 2025 email. Investors had just been reassured that Goliath could pay everybody and still have hundreds of millions left. Mason corrected their summary upward to a few $100 million and said, other than that it looks accurate, that doesn't prove he knew Goliath was fraudulent. But it gives us a very important question to investigate. What was Mason relying on when he confirmed those assurances?
Yeah, so, he was regurgitating content from others' partners. In the blog here, he talks about how, this is just the introduction, the highlights are really that he believed there was 115% or more of partner balances available at all time. And also there was, what else did he have? And so this is basically the November the 18th information.
On November 18th, 2025, after Mason arranged a call with Goliath attorney Eric Clayman, investor Alex Reese sent Mason a detailed written summary of what he understood Clayman had told them. According to Reese, Clayman said he had personally reviewed Goliath's balances, that there was enough money to cover everything taken from clients with another $100 to $200 million left over, that payments should resume within 1 or 2 weeks, and that he would not remain involved if he believed something was wrong.
Yeah, so basically he's using all the correspondence that he got from leadership, as they call it, and he believed it true and genuine, and then he was regurgitating what he was being told and using it to give clout and peace of mind to people, and also stating to people that his money was invested, so he's got the background. So the next section that we want to have a look at is how Jonathan Manson entered the Goliath story. So how did Jonathan get involved with Christopher first off?
Prestige alleges Mason was Goliath's director of partner services and its primary person dealing with them. Mason accepts that he communicated with investors but strongly denies knowing Goliath was fraudulent. He also had millions of dollars of his own money invested. That is important because his own investment apparently gave other investors confidence. So his defense and the reason people trusted him are actually connected. The question becomes, what information was Mason relying on when other people trusted his judgment?
Yeah, so what was he? He was there to give credibility to the whole Christopher Delgado's story. But the question really is, what was he fed to believe that story? And why did he deem it credible information to pass it on to other people that he was encouraging to invest? So the 4% a month venture, this is where anyone in their right mind, let's say Jonathan is actually, let's just say that Jonathan is a financial investor and he's very intelligent. Then how the hell would any financial advisor actually calculate a 4% return when he knew that he was getting either 8 or 10%? So if you invested $100,000, Jonathan would get a percentage as well. So if you were getting 4 or 5%, because a lot of people were getting 5 to 7%, Punnett Shaw had a club called the 7% Club. The payout was actually 10%. And the 3% extra was used to pay a lot of the partners. So here's a financial advisor that's selling an investment opportunity where there was at least 3 to 4% available for the investor, getting huge backhanders. So let's just make it up and say between 5 and 10% per month was there on the table. So Goliath Ventures was alleging that they were investing in liquidity pools and there was actually 10% coming in consistency every month. Looking back 12 months, he believed that there really was a big pool of money sitting there because Matt Burks and his company, which we could look at straight away and see was just full of shit. That company was nothing, not an auditing company, and also Black Block, not Black Rock. He believed that the audit that this Black Block company did was legitimate, and he believed that 115% of investors' money was available at all time. Now, this is meant to be a financial expert. If I'm a house painter and a decorator, that's my trade, in case you didn't know, and I'm on the bottom of the planet as a YouTuber, and I can look at a contract without any education on finances or anything and come up with a conclusion that this is a Ponzi scheme within 2 minutes. How did Jonathan sit here with his finger up his bum telling you that he thought this was a genuine investment opportunity? It's not even my industry. And in his industry, this sort of set off more red flags. But he's still going with the fact that I thought it was true and genuine. Can you give me one other investment opportunity that you know of that delivers consistency on what Goliath Ventures is offering that's been established or sitting around for more than 10 years, 5 years, 2 years? There's none. And he's the dumbest investor on the planet. It's pretty obvious. Anyway, so the 4% per month, this is the summary of the next section.
I went back to the actual agreement Prestige signed. Goliath went out of its way to call this a joint venture and explicitly say it was not an investment product or security, but participants were putting in a minimum of $100,000 and were being offered guaranteed monthly profits of 4% on $1 million. That's $40,000 every month. So forget the label for a moment. I wanted to understand what people were actually being offered and what evidence existed to support returns of that magnitude.
Yeah, so it basically covers everything there. So what evidence were investors being shown to convince them that Goliath was actually had money to support it? And as you may have seen, I clicked on a link and we opened up another document here. And this was the investment, or his redacted actual contract he had with Goliath Ventures. And you can go through and read all the clauses. These contracts actually contradict themselves as well. Some of these contracts are breathtaking because in one breath they tell you that they are not a security, they are not an investment. And then in the other breath, they're telling you to invest $100,000 minimum, and it is an investment. So it's like if you put this contract into ChatGPT and asked it to, I think it's funny they redacted the wallet addresses out of here, though. We have tracked $10 million. I say we, my team of Avengers have tracked $10 million of Goliath funds where no one, hopefully the receivers are going to actually act on it. But I think it's funny that Jonathan submitted this and in the meantime blocked out the wallet addresses. Wonder if he's thinking that that may lead back to him. Anyway, so the company reserves the right to change require You know, this is absolutely crazy. So the company, this is what the company actually said in this contract.
The company reserves the right to change the requirements for any valuation or minimum requirement mentioned in this agreement to be based on USD value instead of USDC value. For example, in the case where USDC becomes volatile or loses its peg to the USD.
Yeah, so the person that put these contracts together was a defense lawyer called Eric Clayman. His address was on the bottom of Goliath Ventures' website forever and a day. I don't think he's going to be on the bar for very much longer. But in saying that, the contract contradicts itself because it tells you it's not an investment opportunity, but then it is. So the next section that you want to have a reread on, if you want to go there, just summarising each section today.
By August 2025, investors were being shown an independent evaluation report from BlackBlock. It claimed Goliath maintained balances of at least 115% of partner balances and had enough reserves to satisfy any and/or withdrawal requests. That sounds incredibly reassuring, but there was a major qualification. BlackBlock said its conclusions were based exclusively on information supplied by Goliath itself. So the question is how independently those hundreds of millions were actually verified.
Yeah, but being a financial advisor, so this is the line that everyone was breathtaking with. So they claim they had an audit done by BlackBlock, not to be mistaken as BlackRock. The audit come back and said that Goliath maintained an average collected balance of 115% or more of partner balances at all times during that period. Now, I keep always saying 2024 or 2025, so I'm probably more looking at the when this newsletter come out so I can actually make sure I get that right. So that was August. So the audit was claimed to be done. So this letter came out on August the 13th, 2025, and it basically said maybe it was on a 12-month period. But anyway, so this whole audit that Christopher was putting his name behind was done by Matt Burks. And as I mentioned just the other day, is Matt Burks scurried off after Goliath Ventures. Obviously, if you listen to Jonathan here in his video that I've embedded in this blog now, you can listen to him lying and telling people about Matt Burks. If you have
have some rich friends that want to make some real money on a regulated platform, I'm more than happy to get you in touch with my guy Matt. 3.5% a month. It won't be anything.
3.5% per month he's offering this guy if he has some rich friends, and then he also said that he would pay out some money. So you can't make this shit up, guys. And now you've got the shit of this guy coming back telling us that he's a victim, which is absolutely batshit crazy. And what I was going to show you guys, well, no, we did this yesterday, but when you go to my homepage of my website, you will find there was another blog I did recently on Onyx Reserve, and Onyx Reserve basically offering a very similar return on investments going by his YouTube channel, Eric McNeil. CoffeeZilla's already done a video about them, exposing them and their fake trading. And then we also had another another report from Hindenburg Investigations. So when you go to this blog, if you search for Onyx Reserve, you can see that Matt Burks jumped ship, went straight into Onyx Reserve, and he also was compliance was done by BlackBlock, not to be mistaken as BlackRock, and also Austin and Bird, which was the people that allegedly had done the contracts for Goliath Ventures. But we know the first contracts were actually done by Eric Clayman. So here is a recipe for disaster. Whenever you see Matt Burks in any industry, avoid anything to do with that company. We've now proven that Eric McNeil isn't doing what he claimed to do, and it's just a continuation of scams. Both these guys, if you have a look at the video and you're wondering who they are, what do you expect to see? Expect to see somebody standing in front of a car they don't own that will be leased, borrowed, or pinched, and they're wearing suits that are far too tight, and they've got no socks on. You come down to the next guy. This guy here, I can't see if he's got socks or not, but he's sitting in front of his Ferrari flash car. Is it a Ferrari? Don't even know what it is. It is a Ferrari, I think. Ferrari, and he's looking successful. The only way these guys look successful is by conning you out of your money. So I've written a whole big episode on that. You can go through and look at that if you really want to. So the next section is Jonathan says had more money than $3 million invested. So if we go back to our lovely video here, I think there's a point here where he actually claims how much money he's got.
And that's what they're saying there. If you look at only 1 or 2 counts of it, it's not like he did this over and over again. It's 1 or 2 counts. So the attorneys are like, yeah, this is fucking stupid. But everyone's scared when you get this posted all over the freaking media. Pictures, though, we have pictures and proof of the guy Mark Najim that actually is behind all this shit. He actually was photographed picking up the guy bashing Chris online, hugging, giving a little kiss on the cheek, grabbing his bags. They have pictures of that shit.
So that's so funny because Mark had nothing to do with this investigation. He was not the original person that told me all about it. I have talked to Mark quite a few times, and as far as I'm appeared, I think he's a lovely guy. He's a man about town. He's certainly somebody that Christopher wanted to be associated to because he has a good name, and that is not a real photo. I'm at Orlando Airport, but there's no Mark picking me up with a photographer there taking that photo. Just wanted to say that. And I do look good in orange, unlike Eric McNeil says. He said he doesn't look good in orange. Well, I look fantastic in orange. But anyway, that's what they said.
No. Him and Chris didn't get along too well after the vault. Chris a little arrogant. Well, here's what I'm trying to do, though. I don't know if the government's going to take it over, then pay everybody out in a year from now, 6 months from now. I don't fucking know. I have access, a friend of mine has access to a fund. It's a regulated fund.
So a regulated fund doesn't even say the name. You get the idea, though. These guys just continue. No one's going to stop them. And it doesn't seem like anyone really cares, unfortunately. All right, mate. Nice to see you make dreams off. Nice to see you here, Rich. You're awesome. Thank you for support. I'll put your wee message on the screen there. Enjoy the Zeds. Hope you're enjoying another night's sleep in the new truck. Look forward to seeing you soon. Looking good. So he says he had more than $3 million at risk himself. So let's have a look at that section. And this is a summary of the next section.
This is one of Mason's strongest arguments. He says that when Prestige was considering another $1 million investment, he disclosed that he personally had more than $3 million invested. His lawyers have also previously claimed Mason and his family ultimately lost approximately $7 million. That could support his argument that he was deceived too, but his investment also became social proof. Prestige apparently felt safer because Mason himself had millions exposed, so his losses matter, but they don't eliminate the question of what due diligence he performed.
Yeah, now the crazy thing about it, we've got Nick Petrillo, who recruited 900 people apparently into Goliath Ventures. He put out a civil lawsuit claiming he was $40 million in the red and Christopher hadn't paid him the rewards. So when I see, Mason putting in a motion to dismiss because he feels like he's an innocent bystander and the courts have rejected that motion to submit, he was using the credibility of $7 million to state that he didn't know anything. So you can go through and read that summary if you want, but you can see how these individuals, and I've seen this quite a few times, is that they literally use their own investments to give credibility or faith that the system is working well. Now remember, we don't invest on trust and we don't believe what they say. We want the documentations. We want the proof. So anyway, he went to withdraw $600,000. Okay, why did he do that for? Time for dividends, is it? So let's have a read of the $600,000 withdrawal and how that didn't work for him. And maybe that should have waved a red flag for him at the same time. So Chris has got $7 million of your money. The contract states that within a few days, you can get your money out at any time. However, if they have any problems, I think it's 180 days. Christopher's contract stated that you need to wait before you can get your money out. Well, when that happened, we know what happened. All the money's gone. So here's Jonathan trying to withdraw $600,000.
This is somewhere I think Mason deserves credit for challenging the record. Prestige originally alleged it requested $600,000 in September and didn't receive it until October 16. Mason says the documents show something very different. The withdrawal was requested on September 23 and paid September 24. If Mason's records establish that, then Prestige's original chronology needs correcting. But Prestige still had roughly $700,000 remaining inside Goliath, and when they later tried to recover that money, things went very differently.
Yeah, so interesting enough. Now, this is my take on it, and I could be wrong, and I'm just hypothecating. But these guys, when they say they had $7 million in the fund, they were hyper compounding their money, meaning that instead of taking dividends, they were hyper compounding the money within the back end. And that's why, Nick Petrillo claims he had $40 million worth of losses, because he didn't. He had $40 million worth of reward money sitting there for when they got the big cash injections. So every now and again, these guys would take money. Like, I want to see, what I want to see from Jonathan Mason is I want to see the deposit of $7 million. I don't want to see accumulated reward money, because when you say to somebody, I put $7 million into Goliath Ventures, I would want to see the receipts of the $7 million being deposited and how it was deposited from what bank account, because otherwise hyper compounded money doesn't count. And this is why when I see them trying to take out $600,000, I start to question why they were taking out dividends, because they knew that the money that they had hyper compounded was fake money. That's my opinion.
Goliath did not simply stop paying everybody at once. Prestige appears to have successfully recovered $600,000 shortly before the situation deteriorated further. Then, only weeks later, the remaining $700,000 became trapped while investors were being given a series of explanations about audits, banking problems, MSB accounts, and restricted wallets.
Yeah, so everyone was, I remember, I think it was October, which is nearly a year ago now, they were telling partners to pay the investors first and then pay themselves last, because they were divvying out the money. So even they started restricting payments. And as we know, Christopher alleged that there was $18 million in the bank account that my Avengers and I had frozen by the Bank of America. And they claimed that it took $3.5 million a month to run Goliath, but that would not be including the people who wanted to withdraw their money, because everyone would be stupid, or told they're stupid, if they withdraw their money, because they use scare tactics saying that your banks won't give you the same dividends. Why would you take your money out and put it in the bank? Banks don't take your principal. They just don't pay you much interest. But this is how people get greedy. They get complacent, and the money just disappears. So what happened on November the 25th? Let's find out what the next section states, and we're just summarising each section instead of reading each section. If you want to read it, it's a good read. Find it on my website.
By November, the real warning signs were appearing. Prestige wanted its remaining $700,000 returned. Then on November 17th, Goliath announced that distributions were being temporarily halted because of a forensic audit.
Yeah.
Investors were told this was about transparency, protecting their money and proving the underlying operation was healthy. Remember, only 3 months earlier, BlackRock supposedly said Goliath could satisfy any and all withdrawals. Now the money wasn't moving.
Yeah, and I think this is, if I'm doing my own investigation here, I mean, this is how stupid it is. So here's Jonathan now changing the narrative. He's basically telling everyone that he wanted his money. Obviously, 3 months prior, he was happy to look at an audit stating that all money was available at all times, 115% going by Matt Burke's audit from BlackRock, not to be mistaken as BlackRock. And then here you've got him in a video here stating that he's still telling everyone to calm the farm. Now, this was well after the fact. So here he is trying to convince an investor to not be worried. And he's also trying to convince an investor to reinvest in another opportunity. He's also telling an investor that Tomo is 12 years in the police force, in the fraud department, or the money department. Tomo was not. He's a big cop, giving out tickets and parking tickets and driving around in the car all day long looking for bad guys, but he wasn't a fraud analysis guy. So here he is, contradicting himself. And obviously these recordings won't be able to be used in the courtroom if he ever gets into a courtroom. But it's just batshit crazy that he's now turning this all around and encouraging people to believe that he's a victim. And victim mentality isn't something I like to swallow very often.
It's going to be fucking hilarious.
I want to hear that one because that sounds like a goodie.
So
Let's go
we
back.
can hop on a call later. Tomo's available tonight, by the way. I spoke with him earlier. So if you want to hop on a call later, we can. So stop reading all these articles. You're scaring yourself. Yeah, I'm in the middle of that. That's either getting 100% dismissed or I'm going to be countersuing because everything they're trying to state, we actually have documentation and proof. So I'm not worried about that. Yes, I'm aware of that. They are so full of shit. I can't disclose it because it's an active lawsuit. But if they don't dismiss, they're the ones going down. It's going to be fucking hilarious.
It's going to be effing hilarious, isn't it? So Christopher got charged for running a $328 million Ponzi scheme. He had already helped with the investigation. We already knew that the bank accounts had been suspended 2 months before he got indicted. Well, not indicted, charged. Now it's effing hilarious because he actually pleaded guilty to everything that we had alleged he'd been doing. And here's Jonathan telling you that 100% fact that it's all going to be dismissed and the egg's going to be on the Department of Justice face. I mean, how batshit crazy is Jonathan Mason? He used to be in our chat room yelling at us, telling us we didn't know anything until we identified it was him, and now we don't see him anymore. So listen to this. Phone for you.
Hey, brother, honestly, I'm just fucking drained of phone calls, man. I'm turning my fucking phone off. I have no answers, no fucking clue. Here's what I know. That the SEC attorneys from Alston and Bird approved everything. And there's emails and documentations. That flow chart and the affidavit, that's SEC approved. We have a copy of the actual...
So Austin and Bird, remember we go back to this picture here and we see, what do we see here? Austin and Bird, this is Onyx Reserve, Black Block, Matt Burks, and here he is after the fact, after Krista's pleaded, been charged for the $328 million Ponzi scheme at the time, he still believes it's true and genuine.
Fidelity bond.
The guy must be brain dead.
That was in place by Realm Insurance. We have the signature of the actual policy. Matt Burks even spoke with the agent and said, you never show this to people because they know how much they can sue you for. That's why it was never shown. We have a copy of that. And now you can't show it to anybody because of the lawsuit. There was too many eyes on the wallets, bro. They still see the wallets. People looked at everything. They saw Chris log in. I mean, you saw Chris log in front of Raul to the wallets and confirm it with Etherscan. Bro, you saw it with your own 2 eyes. Twice! He did it in front of Danny, and then he did it in front of Raul.
Not me.
You've seen it. Those are the wallets. And then I also learned today that you can't actually send Coinbase a centralized to Uniswap.
So the poor Jonathan, who's meant to be something to do with finances, doesn't know what an exchange wallet is on the blockchain. Even I do. And he was claiming at the time, if you watch this whole video for 18 minutes of your life, you'll never get back, that there was $1 billion worth of crypto available at all times, shared between 6 different wallets. They saw access to 3 of those wallets with over $500,000 in it. If you go back to the start of this video, it's pretty breathtaking.
Points. I call my buddy Wayne, is retired FBI, works for the company. He's like, yeah, the whole thing doesn't make sense. I talked to my buddy Sam, who's 11 years cop, and he used to work for Goldman Sachs, a finance guy. He's like, yeah, this fucking thing doesn't make sense. Like, everyone I talk to, like, they're missing so many things. And here's the other part. I got my buddy Chad on the phone. He looks at the wallets. Okay, he works at the wallets. In my office right now. But listen, I got 2 people in my office right now. This is Kendra. Say rule.
I could have.
Kendra was at the party. Mikey, was he at the party or no?
No. He wasn't.
Maybe you did. Okay, you went there. Kendra.
Yeah.
Kendra's got money in the fund too. Not as much as you though, okay? Kendra, what was the first wallet that Chad said was there? How much?
It was 250 plus million.
Okay, that's one wallet.
One more.
Mikey, who's got money in the fund? You or your mom?
Mom.
And where'd the money come from?
Dad's retirement.
I know, but what happened?
Oh my God, this is the saddest thing you'll ever hear. His father became incapacitated. When he was incapacitated, they moved his money over to Goliath. The dividends were going to be paying for his mother to look after the father on his last month before he died. These guys are batshit crazy.
Like when he passed?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was dying of dementia. And then the month before he passed, we were able to use power of attorney.
You don't die of dementia, by the way, guys. You die of lack of oxygen to the brain. We all face the same fate.
Roll the money over into there, and it paid the same month he passed.
So Mike's dad passed away from dementia, Alzheimer's, and that's the money they used to put into the pool to pay off the medical bills, the debt, move his mom down, get an apartment. They rely on that income every single month. Mikey, how much is in the second wallet?
Over $300 million.
It's like 350 or something, right? Yeah. There's over $500 million in just 2 of the wallets, and there's 6 total. Like, the whole thing is fucking stupid. What they're accusing him of money laundering, and they're accusing him of wire fraud. So what I'm thinking what happened and what the guys are talking about is because all the money's inside the pool, and these guys can't track which account, this, that, and the other. It's probably negligence. Chris was probably a fucking idiot. He probably took money that was supposed to be used for the business, never put it back in or whatever, and bought something with it. But it's not a Ponzi. They're not even accusing him of Ponzi. It's wire fraud and money laundering. So he probably used the wrong money to buy different things.
So Harry J. Samuels told them, Christopher, apparently to buy things using company money like cars, maybe for tax reasons. But anyway, there's lots to it to this story, but I think if you were to listen to this recording of Jonathan on the last hour, on the last stand, talking to investors who have lost $9 million, who now have to go back and figure out how to run their businesses on a shoestring because they put everything and they were paying their staff out of the dividends they were receiving from Goliath Ventures. It's a pretty sad story. Jonathan did not give it up. And if Jonathan, it sounds like to me, Jonathan actually is like a kid. It's so immature, the way he's talking, the way he's thinking, the way he speaks. I mean, this guy's meant to be looking after people's 401ks or their life savings, and he's talking to people like a $9 million investor, and he's talking to him like he's stupid. It's absolutely batshit crazy. So, this is the guy who's now turning this all around, claiming that he's a victim. He's an idiot, not a victim. Completely different. So as I go through this article, please do reach out to us, because you can actually, this is his argument. These are his documents. These are the documents he's filed to save his ass in the courtroom. And you can go through and read his own argument. Basically what he's got correspondence here with Chris. You can read all the articles you like. Rest assured, you will receive your monthly distribution as planned. So why did he feel he had peace of mind to offer other people that information? Safeguard their deposits and compounding while allowing the audit to be complete. So there was an audit that was the excuse they had. They were waiting for an NSB license. That was another excuse they had. Christopher was having a big, massive last hurrah Christmas party that cost $9 million. He told everyone that payments would resume to normal on December the 15th to 18th of December. In the meantime, he expected everyone to get together like a big happy family on the 12th of December, I think it was, for their Christmas party. The letter that came out telling everyone that they were going to get everything back to normal came out on the 2nd of December, because people were already reading all my content. In the meantime, no other journalist published anything about this. Not one. It was only after Christopher got charged for running a $328 million Ponzi scheme, all the other media, all the other supposedly investigative journalists started reporting on it. They weren't investigating it though, were they? They were just newsreaders. So the phone call that became evidence, and this was October the 18th. We'll have a look at that one there. October the 18th, you can see that he rung up, and you can actually hear the conversation that he had. Thanks, Alex. Alex was working for Goliath. Alex Reese. I don't know who he was. Maybe I should. Alex Reese. I'm just going to, out of curiosity, bring up my database. If I can do that without incriminating anyone, might be a good idea, Danny. So I'll just ping that out for a while. So Alex Reese, he was in correspondence with him. I have a feeling it may be an investor. I have no Alex Reese on my system. And while we're in the system, which I'll bring up, as you can see that what we do as Avengers, we have a list of co-conspirators. None of these people, in my opinion, will be going to jail, and none of them will be charged. But all of them helped grow Goliath into what it is today. And that's the honest truth of it. So if you are in Orlando on the 21st of October, I'll probably be going out for dinner on the 21st. I would like a few people to join me. People who want to meet me, maybe share intel with me, or just go out and have a beer and a meal together. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I booked my flights properly yesterday. I'm very low on funds. I haven't received as much donations as I hoped. So if you do want to support what I do, you can actually go to my website. I mean, I need some decent donations, guys. I mean, I've had some generous people donate $500 and the like. That's lovely. It really does make a huge difference, that type of money. But the honest truth of it is, I'm still only 20%, 27% at the goal that I want to get to. So if you can help me and support me, I promise I'll spend all the money on fighting investigations and the like. But please do feel free to donate. So I can go there and eyeball these individuals. I'm sure I'll meet people like Eric Clayman, perhaps. Who knows? Anyway, let's carry on with the next set. It's the phone call that changed it. Now, Eric Clayman is a bit of a character. He got done for, he was the guy that wrote the contracts for Goliath Ventures. I think they might have rewritten some of the contracts at Austin and Bird, but in the meantime, we've got a defense lawyer writing contracts on behalf of Goliath Ventures and also an investor in Goliath Ventures. And at one stage, Eric Clayman was starting to handle the newsletters for Goliath Ventures, calming the farm. And one of those newsletters was telling everyone that they had applied for an MSB license, which a lot of criminal networks do, and they were 80 days in, and they needed to wait 90 days before the MSB license was approved. And then the NSB license would mean that they would be able to handle large amounts of money and maybe undo the bank accounts that they were frozen. But that was all bullshit, speculation, and I don't know what the heck a defense attorney was involved with Goliath in the first place. And I don't understand why that guy is still operating as a lawyer. These are sharks. These are bottom feeders. These are the people that will get away with this time and time again, and they live in that horrible swamp of lifestyle where they're just disgusting people. I have no time for them, to be honest.
The next day, November 18th, Mason arranged a call with Goliath attorney Eric Clayman. We don't have a recording, so I'm careful about saying exactly what Clayman said. But immediately afterwards, Alex Reese emailed Mason a detailed summary and specifically asked him to correct anything he had misunderstood. According to that summary, Clayman supposedly said he had reviewed Goliath's balances. Everybody could be repaid. Payments should restart within 1 or 2 weeks, and there would still be $100 to $200 million left over. Then Mason replied, and that reply becomes extremely important.
Yeah, so how stupid is that? So a few $100 million. So if we look at that actual email that turned into, so he reckoned, so I don't know if that was true or whatever, but Eric Clayman basically was alleged to be saying that there was enough money for everyone to get paid back, and there would be 100 or 200 million left over. There's a big difference between 100 and 200 million, just saying. Now, remember the money. If you were ever told that that amount of money was ever mentioned, then what I would be asking is, where does the money come from? Where was the regular incoming money from liquidity pools? Because that didn't exist. You know what I'm saying? It's like if all this money's coming and going from Goliath, and someone like Eric Clayman allegedly said that he could see there was enough money in the bank account, these guys aren't held accountable for what they said. Now, we've got no proof that Eric Clayman said that, and I'm sure he won't volunteer that information, but if Jonathan Mason is using that as part of his evidence trail to say that he believed it true and genuine and took these guys on face value, then maybe Eric Clayman needs to sue Jonathan Mason for making up stories. Or if we want to take it to another level, Eric Clayman, where did you see this money? And did you validate you had access to that money? And if there is $100 or $200 million left over after everyone was made whole, then where is that money now? And how did you have access to everyone's database? So that could be an argument that may not ever get an answer. However, we do know a couple of things. The business registered address for Goliath Ventures was Eric Clayman's office. Eric Clayman did send out a newsletter on the same MailChimp newsletter database where all the other newsletters were actually sent out. Now, you might not think that's relevant, and we've got all the facts here because we can tell you what's happened. If I just bring up Goliath Ventures for a second again, hopefully I'll bring up the right thing without criminating. There we go. Okay, so this is our Millinote database. We go into Goliath Ventures, and I go to, well, let's go to Christopher. And we have a database of over 1,250 people at the moment, if not a little bit more. We've got Ponzi schemes and scams. These are all the Ponzi schemes and scams that we've tracked Christopher to. If we go into Goliath Ventures, you will see that we have PDFs. We've got PDFs, newsletters, founders, marketers. So it must be PDFs. That doesn't look quite right. Oh, yeah, that's it. So these are all the newsletters that were sent from Goliath Ventures. And near the end of the demise of Christopher Delgado's, the newsletters that were coming out in a different format. So it was obvious that they weren't using the same. So when you clicked on past issues, it would take you off and you would find the past issues. Now, when Christopher was on their last stand, well, there's exactly what I'm looking for. Thank you very much. So here you can see all the letters that were published right back to 2025, and you can open all those. These ones, if we were looking at the last two newsletters, the last three newsletters, there was a missing gap. So here's the letter from Black Block, February. We can probably even go through here and read the letter from Black Block. Oh, there it is. This is brilliant. So this is February the 15th, 2025. Here is the list of where they said 115% of partners' funds was there all time. But what I'm getting at is Eric Clayman posted out a letter. So he had full access to the same database that they were using. Now, I can't see that for looking. So I wonder if there's a part 2 here. Join the mailing list, because we found that we were joining the mailing list and see it's old. So they created a new mailing list. Now I'm just trying, there it is there. Company message, outstanding exits and distributors. This is amazing. So that I did it around the wrong way. So let's just have a look at the last four emails. So that one's gone. That's me. So here we go. What have we got here? Dear partner. That's Christopher. This is Goliath Ventures and how wonderful it was. And look at all the, this is the Vault 2025 newsletter. Looking at all these individuals now, that photo there of all the boys lined up, they must regret any involvement with us now. Imagine how much you've ruined your life by being associated. If we went through and read all these newsletters again, they basically were pretty transparent on what they were doing. Like when they purchased companies, they actually put it in the newsletters like it was a good things. Okay, so that was Christopher. But there is here we go. Hello, first name. Please use access link below to view the document. Access document. Oh, this is great. So this one here, I think is the last one that Eric Clayman wrote. Access shared document. So I have to actually prove, I have to put my email address in there to actually get access to that. Now I'm just going to have a look at something here in a minute just to make sure I'm right. But even right now today, this new company update message received, outstanding exit and distributions. So this here, I believe I have to have access to it. So I'm telling you what's happening because I'm in IT. Eric Clayman has made it that no one can see this document. He probably can't delete it, but he's probably put a privacy ban on it. But we have that email that he sent out. I just think that is batshit crazy. And just to prove that we have access, if I can find it in a hurry, let's go back. I think if we go right to the very last letter that we would have received, it may be, I remember it was embedded. Just see if we managed to keep it. It's probably nearer the start. There, so we have all the newsletters. But anyway, my point was originally, before I got distracted, is that the database, they created a new MailChimp database. Hold it, Eric Clayman. Let's see if I've got him here. There he is here. Okay, and then we want, this is it here, I think. Yes. So this was the embedded PDF letter that Eric Clayman sent out via Goliath Ventures mailing list. So what I'm saying is, if he had access to being able to use that mailing list, trying to calm the farm, telling people in this newsletter that they're at the 80-day mark, and when they get to 90 days, they'll be able to start distributing funds again. What is a defense attorney doing with that information? And why has he got access to a Ponzi scheme and scam that stole $425 million from people? And why is he, doing that? I mean, so that was the email, and I'm just going to download that, and hopefully I can go back, and we will future-proof ourselves for next time. There we go, and I'll see if I can actually bring that one in to there. There it is, and next time we'll be able to have that, put it near the bottom so I can see it, and we'll probably find it now we've gone to that extraordinary length. Oh dear, but it never ends. It never ends. It never ends. Boom. So yes, so there's lots of evidence out there, but there's no people going to jail because of it. All right, so where did we get up to? You can read that if you like. A few $100 million left over. Let's read the next section. Let's summarize the next section.
Mason didn't dispute the overall summary. He corrected one figure. He said Clayman had actually said that after all investors were paid, the remaining profit would be a few $100 million, rather than $100 to $200 million. Then Mason wrote, "Other than that, it looks accurate. That does not prove Mason knew Goliath was fraudulent." But if Mason's defense today is that he didn't have access to Goliath's true financial records, then I want to know what gave him enough confidence to confirm such an extraordinary financial picture. That is probably the single most important issue in this investigation.
So while the investors are trying to understand why their money had stopped moving, Mason was prepared to confirm in writing a picture of Goliath as extraordinarily well
capitalized.
Yes, so he was basically saying, calm the farm, don't be silly. You can even hear by the way he was talking in this video. I mean, some of this stuff you can't make this shit up.
Ponzi is conspiracy to defraud or scheme to defraud. He's not being charged with that. He's being charged with one count of money laundering and one count of wire fraud. That's what the affidavit said. One guy at the bottom of the complaint says he put in $15 million and he took out $17.6 million. How do you make money on a Ponzi? And you're complaining about that? Makes zero sense. The math doesn't math.
The math, he doesn't know the arse end of a calculator. Look, even I have a calculator on my desk. I worked that out in 2 minutes. So look, he was using everything that he was being told, to calm the farm with a lot of other investors. So let's have a look at the Christmas Day section and summarize that.
By Christmas, the explanation for the missing payments had changed. In November, investors were told distributions stopped because of the forensic audit. On December 25th, Christopher Delgado said the problem involved setting up a money services business account, an MSB. He said the account had already been approved but wouldn't become operational until January 1st. So once again, investors weren't being told the money was gone. They were being told the money existed but something technical was temporarily preventing it from moving.
Yeah. So it's just keeping the illusion alive. And one of the things that you may have not seen is if we go to my YouTube channel, it wasn't just one person running this. There was more. If I go to shorts on my YouTube channel, you can actually see coming down here enough. You can see Christopher in jail. There is a video, this one here, which is the one that money should be. Okay, a brave over quit, ignore. We did this last time, didn't we? No, food.
Their money should be processed as a refund. Is it because the Bank of America account got frozen, and that's why their delays for the refund, or what is the actual reason that their money hasn't been refunded as we requested if they're not investors at this exact moment.
Yeah, no, I refund, distribution, withdrawal, whatever, category you wanna call it. But yeah, no, I understand that, yours should have been just a simple send the wire back. We did push that all to this distribution window of December, which I was told everything was going to be active and ready to go. Unfortunately, on Saturday, Danny did close this Bank of America account too. So it's not closed, right? The money's not frozen there. It's not closed. The bank account is actually still open. I think it's just a 30-day notice probably to vacate. Money can still move within the account, but we can't, send money in the volume that we need to, right? So the problem doesn't become one, why haven't we sent you the money? The problem is that we have lots of money to send, and it's a legal issue for us to pick and choose who we want to.
Their money should be processed.
So that's batshit crazy. It's so batshit crazy. It's even more batshit crazy. So that's Mike Shilinsky, if I might not be saying that quite right. And that guy is currently he's been in Bali. I think he's back in Dubai now. And these guys have not been deterred. They are still out there. So we've just done a whole series on Mike. Now, Mike claims that he is a professional day trader. He's got a Mikey app, and he's out there at the moment showing off his wealth with his cars and his G-Wagons and his Rolls Royces and his BMW motorbikes, his luxury lifestyle and his flash house, telling people that he's already rich. So we've covered that quite a lot. But the real sick thing about this, when you listen to the truth of it.
Hey, Juju. Hope you're doing well. Saw the little conversations going on in the chat, but I just want to make things clear and transparent. I know that, the content I'm posting doesn't look fucking sexy for people, right? I know it doesn't look fucking sexy at all, but you have to understand things aren't always as they appear on Instagram. I'll tell you that much, right? And I don't need to get into details, but things are not always what they appear. I'm building my brand. I have managers. They're building my brand for me. They direct everything. They coordinate everything. They set everything up. They script everything. Now, do I disagree with a lot of the shit? Do I disagree with the character they're building? Yeah, because now I'm stuck in this fucking weird position between the stuff that's going on and the future I'm trying to build. So these guys are professionals. They've built many, many people to millions of followers, specifically in the crypto industry. Unfortunately, the shit that is not sexy and the stuff I don't like to post because I don't think it's classy at all. And I battle with myself internally, and I battle with them with, is the shit that goes viral and is the shit that builds the brand up until the point, at least until you become famous. And then you can talk about whatever you want. But until you're famous, nobody gives a shit about your story. Nobody cares about what I've done in my past. Nobody cares about my background in engineering and fighting and university and my career and all this stuff. I want to tell my story. I want to tell who I truly am. But in terms of clicks and likes and engagement and getting and monetizing a following, according to them, that's not the shit that works. And until I'm famous, nobody gives a shit. So I understand the image it's creating. Like I said, don't be fooled by what looks so miraculous and glamorous. Trust me, my life is hard. It's not fucking easy. I'm trying my best to pull myself out of the fucking gutter. I'm trying my best to put myself in a position where I could take care of my family and the people I love. And this is the only direction I have right now. This is what I know is going to work. I've found some people that I trust who've brought me in like family, who take care of me and who are guiding me. And now I'm in this position where it looks shitty for one set of audience, which is you guys, and then it works on another set of audience. Do I like it? No. Do I really know what to do? No. I'm stuck in a position where I have to fucking take care of myself, and I have to build my brand, and I have to put myself in a position where I could take care of the people I love before it's too late. I need to put myself in a position where my family, my parents don't have to fucking worry about money, and they don't have to stress, and they don't have to fucking work until they die. And that's my main priority. And the last thing I could do is see my parents or have my parents leave this planet and seeing me struggle. And unfortunately, this is the direction I'm taking right now. I'm not the biggest fan. It's not sexy. But like I said, don't believe everything you see on social media to think my life is so glamorous, because it's not. Okay? This is all part of what I'm building. And I have a team behind me that's helping me out and putting everything together for me. So, like I said, I know it doesn't look sexy, but things aren't always what they appear.
Okay, so I know this video is about Jonathan Mason, but what I'm getting at, these guys are trying to start up their own lives again after the collapse of Goliath Ventures, and they haven't shown any remorse whatsoever, and they're prepared to lie and literally steal from people to get their wealth, and they still haven't learnt their lesson. So this is Mike, another co-conspirator who will get away with this. Already been subpoenaed by the courts. We've already done another bite of the elephant out of doing his stuff, but I think it's breathtaking if you watch this, the next 45 seconds. This is a lie. So if you didn't notice what I just showed you here before, these vehicles that you see in this picture, these aren't two pictures of Mike. This is another influencer with a BMW, same as Mike, a G-Wagon, same as Mike's, a Rolls-Royce, same as Mike's, and also a gay sort of Mercedes wagons, where he's claiming it's his. And then when you go to the truth, this is what he's telling people.
System that has been built specifically to help you succeed. Now let me talk to you about something very important, because in a world full of people claiming to be trading experts, you have every right to wonder why everyone trusts me. I make money from trading, not from selling you a course, not from building a business around convincing you that I'm successful.
Sounds like Andrew Tate to me.
I'm already...
Just bear in mind that he has been on the boat with Andrew Tate and Tomo, and also Christopher Delgado, all on the same yacht together. They hired 3 super yachts in Croatia. We notified Homeland Security that there was 50 guys on these boats. They said, we're aware of it, we're on it. And here's Mike following similar footsteps to Andrew Tate, which we've just found out recently in the news, whether it's true or not. Andrew Tate doesn't have all the vehicles and all the wealth he claims. Everything was rented, apparently. That's what he's telling the courts now to get himself out again. But anyway, here's Mike telling you how wealthy he is.
Wealthy. I have my luxury cars. I live a luxury life in Dubai. In the last 4 years alone, I've traveled to almost 50 countries. And I'm not trying to brag, but I'm just showing you the life that you can live. I have the life that most people are working toward. And none of that came from selling courses. You are not making me wealthy. I already am. I got rich through trading, and trading gives me my life. The financial freedom I have, the ability to wake up and go anywhere in the world, the ability to build something.
Yeah, but I think we're getting distracted, but not really. I just wanted to show you that these guys will do whatever it takes to give you the illusion that they are somebodies when they're absolutely bottom feeders on the planet. You can listen to the recording from his own admission. Obviously, we can come in here and listen to Jonathan.
But too much money paid out.
They're just kids. They're kids telling you what to do with your money. Don't let it happen again, because we're not able to get these guys off the street. So January the 2026, another delay. So these guys were Jonathan's still trying to claim to the courts that they believe that the money is still available. So I'm not going to reiterate it again, but we've got Jonathan in leaving voice messages on people's phones, claiming that he believes there's $1 billion worth of crypto still locked up. Our forensic experts have actually found $10 million associated with Goliath Ventures co-conspirators' wallets, but there's definitely no $1 billion worth of money sitting in here. So he was still, at the time, telling people that he's seen $1 billion worth of money locked up on crypto. But when you got to January the 26th, another delay, are you telling me that this guy is now using this information in the courtrooms to claim that he didn't know any better? Now, let's go back, and we're talking about January, another day. And this is a summary of the next section.
January arrived and investors still weren't getting their money. Now Eric Clayman said Goliath was approximately 80 days into a 90-day MSB application process and could receive approval at any time. That appears difficult to reconcile with Delgado saying on Christmas Day that approval had already happened in November. Investors were also now told Goliath's international wallets had been restricted, so the explanations kept evolving. Forensic audit MSB account MSB application restricted wallets, but the underlying reassurance remained. The money supposedly existed.
Yeah. So, so this is why they keep telling people the lies. And, it doesn't make sense. So that's the same document that he got from Eric Clayman that was sent from the official newsletter database, MailChimp database, which we've now seen has been set to private when we go and click on that database. But obviously we've got all the newsletters from that database. But Eric Clayman has decided to log back into that and access shared document. So once he found out that we had a little wee hands on it, he obviously screwed that down but couldn't delete it completely because it's part of the evidence trail, I presume. So Goliath collapsed. So this is the part that really, even I couldn't believe when this happened. I didn't even realize how brilliant it was that Goliath collapsed back by February. So let's listen to this summary of the next section.
By February, the explanations had run out. Prestige sued. Then federal prosecutors charged Christopher Delgado in connection with an approximately $328 million Ponzi scheme. Delgado later pleaded guilty. Then the SEC alleged at least $425 million from more than 1,300 investors, while the CFTC alleged at least $397 million from approximately 1,600 customers. But this is where I have to be very careful. Delgado pleading guilty does not prove Jonathan Mason knew what Delgado was doing. Mason has to be judged on the evidence relating specifically to Mason.
Well, my take on it is that if Jonathan wants to go with the story to save his bacon from going to jail, and he wants to tell people that he didn't see it being a Ponzi scheme, then the guy is not a professional businessman. And you might see the inconsistencies here from the CFTC and the SEC. One says 425 million, the other one says 397 million. And then the one that's got 397 million claims they had 1,600 customers. And the other one says 1,300 customers. So that's just government departments doing their thing, I assume. Maybe jurisdiction changes visibility, and I don't know exactly what goes on there. You'd think they would have a meeting first because they both filed their paperwork on the same day. Who knows? But anyway, we've got the CFTC and the SEC are now going after Christopher. It's like trying to get blood out of a stone. I still don't understand why they don't go after the $174 million that these co-conspirators have actually earned. It's just batshit crazy. So you can read to your heart's content. You might, I think it's really explained really well in this blog, but today I'm not reading the whole lot. I'm just giving you summaries because it's a bit of a marathon. So now we're up to the 17th of August. What happened next as the lawsuits start filing and everyone has to start running for shelter legally?
Now Mason is fighting back aggressively. He has filed a Rule 11 motion for sanctions against Prestige and its lawyers. Essentially, Mason is saying, if you're going to accuse me of knowingly participating in a Ponzi scheme, show the evidence that I actually knew. His lawyers argue there's evidence he communicated with investors and received compensation, but that doesn't prove fraudulent intent. They also point to his millions of dollars of personal losses. That is a legitimate argument and deserves to be reported fairly.
Yeah, so if you ever are part of a Ponzi scheme, and let me say, if you put $100,000 into a Ponzi scheme, I think that turns out to be about $168,000. So $68,000, I can't remember exactly, but let's say $70,000 of profit a year. And then you leave your $170,000 in there for another 12 months. So then it just compounds, it's hyper compounding. So he's claiming that he's got $7 million worth of losses, but whether there is a deposit going into Goliath Ventures for $3 million, I hadn't seen that. But he's now claiming $7 million worth of losses. Any Ponzi scheme that ever talks about proof of claim, you cannot use the hyper compounded balance as your losses. You can only lose whatever you invested and you can prove, because they don't care about that because it's a Ponzi scheme. So if he did deposit $3 million, then he shouldn't be talking about $7 million worth of losses. And obviously, he's using his losses of $7 million to say that he didn't know it was a Ponzi scheme. As I said earlier on, Nick Petrillo had $40 million trapped into Goliath Ventures, right? And he couldn't get it out. And when they start taking dividends out, like $600,000, and it doesn't get out, they start to realize they're being duped. We've had other Ponzi schemes like BG Wealth Sharing, and one lady was owed $6 million. On her app, she had $6 million, and then the company fell over and she claimed she lost $6 million. When she went to withdraw money, they would only let her withdraw so much money per week. At one point, people were withdrawing $1,000 a day, and then all of a sudden they restricted that to $500 a day. These were the same people that claimed they had $6 million on the platform. You know, all these figures and all these amounts, absolutely just batshit crazy. So here's another PDF. We've got all the PDFs of all the filing of all the court cases. You can go and read all that technical data, download them from my website if you like, put them through ChatGPT and ask it for a summary. It's always a good way to read these documents. So they're still claiming that Eric Clayman is the problem. He told them that there was money there and they took him on a handshake. Don't believe anyone. So what is Eric Clayman actually challenging? Like, what is he saying to the courts? What does he believe is the reason for him being accused of not being a good... So let me get this right, everyone. We want to believe that Jonathan Mason is a good guy. We want to believe that Jonathan Mason didn't know what he was doing himself, and any advice he got that he passed on to you come from other people. Does it look like somebody's playing Chinese whispers, or does it sound like somebody's trying to pass the hot scone?
This is the distinction I want viewers to understand. Being involved with Goliath is not automatically the same as knowing Goliath was fraudulent. Mason's argument is that Prestige has taken evidence showing his involvement and converted it into allegations about his knowledge. So there are actually two separate questions. Can Prestige prove Mason knew Goliath was fraudulent? And regardless of whether they can, what factual basis did Mason have for the assurances he communicated or confirmed to investors? He could potentially win the first argument without answering the second.
Yeah, so he's passing on extraordinary claims, but not willing to provide extraordinary evidence. So what due diligence did Jonathan Mason give his investors when he passed that information on? Like, if he's going to make statements about how there's, I got told that there is more money in the bank account so they can repay everybody. What am I trying to say? So, yeah, so let's say he got told by Eric Clayman that there was enough money in the bank account to pay back everybody, and there would be $100 or $200 million left over. Then he might pass that on to somebody. But what due diligence did he do when talking to Eric Clayman to prove that was true and genuine? And you can't be negligent, because negligence is not an excuse for bad behavior. The motion does not answer. So here we go for the next section. We're going to summarize that section as well. The motion does not answer.
Mason says he didn't control Goliath's bank accounts, wallets, or financial records. That could help his defense against allegations that he knowingly participated in fraud. But it creates another problem. If he couldn't see the underlying financial information, how could he determine that the extraordinary representations being made were reliable? The Black Bloc report relied on information supplied by Goliath. The November phone call relied on Clayman. So where was the independent verification? That is the gap I still see in the evidence.
It's well, it's easy. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but at the time when we heard about Black Bloc, the first thing we did as a group or an alliance, we actually investigated Black Bloc, and then we thought, who the hell is this Black Bloc? And we researched them. So it seems like Jonathan, who's meant to be a professional in this industry, just took everyone on face value. And is Jonathan not aware of any Ponzi scheme or scam in history? Did he not do any due diligence? And did he hide behind willful blindness? And that's what I believe he's done here. I don't feel sorry for him at all. I'm just going to read a middle paragraph here. Hello, Susie.
The Black Bloc report provides one possible answer. Mason's motion points to that report as information available to him, and on its face it was certainly reassuring. It claimed Goliath maintained an average collector balance of at least 115% of partner balances, and sufficient reserves to satisfy every withdrawal or distribution request. But the report itself also disclosed that its conclusions were based exclusively upon financial information supplied by Goliath.
Yeah, so it leaves a gap between being given reassuring information and independently establish what information is reliable. Now, unfortunately, willful blindness is probably what these guys are going to be challenged on. And going by what we've heard recently, this doesn't really matter. And he's probably got a pretty good argument. So if I was a betting man, would I say Jonathan Mason will be going to jail? I would say no. If I was saying that if Jonathan Mason has got any money left, will he be ordered to have that money clawed back? Maybe that's why they're subpoenaing, I can't even say that word, but asking these guys to hand over their finances, because there's another battle here that we are fighting at the moment. If we're going after the victim's retrieval of money, then we need to follow the money. But to us, it just seems like the government departments seem more concerned about keeping their their conviction rate high, rather than, actually locking these guys up for fraud. Like I said in my victim statement that I'm hoping I'll be able to read out on the 20th of October, is if I went into a shop and stole a can of Coke, I would be arrested. I would have a criminal conviction of thievery. It might be a misdemeanor. It might not go on my criminal record. It might be there for 7 years unless I become a repeat offender. But when it comes to financial fraud, can you hide behind willful blindness? And if you can hide behind willful blindness, then you might as well be a criminal if you want to make money in a hurry, because it doesn't seem like there's any justice in the world. And it's been quite gutting for all of us. So it's all poppycock. They are all a bunch of, I don't even know how to pronounce that word, pinachos? What do they call them?
It's all poppycock. They're all a bunch of Pinocchios.
Pinocchios. Never heard of that word before. Sounds like you're having a wine there, Susie. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's a very sad affair. And I'm, Susie, I know you've just turned up, but this is interesting. Remember the last letter that Eric Claimant sent out? Well, this is now Access Shared Document, which is absolutely batshit crazy. And all the other documents that you would expect to see, that's the only one that he's blacked out. So Eric Claimant still has access to the MailChimp database, which is actually batshit crazy. All right, guys, we're down to the questions Jonathan Mason can still answer. Now, if he really wanted to answer these questions and give people some closure, it would be a really good idea to do so about now. But he won't, because he's only worrying about saving his own ass. I mean, if you are ever doing any business with Jonathan Mason, really, would you do business with a guy like this? I mean, what a bottom feeder on the planet. This is how he treats people that he's encouraged to invest. He hasn't done any due diligence as far as I can see. He thinks there's such a thing as a 4 to 10% return on investment from a company that has got no proof of income. He reckons he's seen the blockchain. He's seen the wallets. He's seen $1 billion worth of money on the blockchain, but he hasn't bothered to look at any incoming money that's theoretically coming from liquidity pools. I mean, these guys are just the dumbest, and you shouldn't listen to anything they say. They're just a waste of time. They shouldn't even be on the planet, in my opinion.
This section of the blog gives Mason a genuine right of reply. The main things I want to know are, what due diligence did he personally conduct? Did he ever verify the wallets or reserves? What exactly was his compensation? What evidence supported the few $100 million claim? When did he first realize something was seriously wrong? And can he document the claimed $7 million family loss? These aren't questions that presume guilt. In fact, Mason's answers could considerably strengthen his argument that he was another victim of Goliath.
Yeah, and this is actually really important. I mean, some of these questions I want to actually ask myself, but think about that. It's what I've been saying all the way through this document. Prove how much money you deposited into Goliath Ventures. Show us the transactions. Tell us the day, the bank statements. Show us the money you put into Goliath Ventures, because this isn't our first rodeo. The money that you're alleging that you had in Goliath Ventures, $7 million, that would have been all hyper-compounded money. We're not stupid. Claiming that you're now using that you've got money in Goliath Ventures. Do you think Nick Petrillo went to somebody when he was looking for a new investor and said, I have $40 million in Goliath Ventures? Because that's how much money he was owed. So then he starts using the claim of $40 million in Goliath Ventures as a peace of mind to somebody else who may be sitting on the fence thinking, well, this guy I know, look at him. He's got $40 million in this. Why would he jeopardize $40 million if he didn't believe it was real? So you got Jonathan now claiming that he had $7 million in Goliath Ventures, and he's using that for endorsement for bad behavior. Now, he went to take out $600,000 and couldn't get his hot little hands on it. And then he started to question whether it's real or not. Why would a company that has taken $7 million from him not release $600,000 to him? And then the questions that really need to be answered then, at what point did he start to realize it was a scam? We've got him on these audio clips, which we've all got documented on the days that we receive this and when they come in. Here he is, all the way through, claiming that he's now, not only has he realized that he was scammed, he's now telling people to introduce their money to a new opportunity, and this is how sad this was. I mean, this guy, I don't know if we'll play this again.
No decisions, no knowledge, nada. But all I can do is try to help those that really fucking need it. Because I know a lot of people need those funds. What's the process of getting the funds out? Is Chris going to be given a slap in the wrist? Is this going to be disproven? Is this a bunch of bullshit? Are they fucking really trying to put him in a corner? Like, what's really going on? So we need to get some answers, not just the accusations. I'm going to speak with the attorneys tomorrow. I'll get some updates from them. I will let everybody know. But right now, everyone can take a deep breath. Again, wallets are there. Chad looked at them literally 20 minutes ago, half an hour now. And we're just waiting to get some answers as far as what's going on with the case. But
So here he is claiming that he's seen the wallets. Why didn't he give those to the investigators if he did have those wallets? Why did he hold that knowledge? What did he do about helping recover the funds if he claims it? When did he realize it was a scam? Because even right up to that video, he's still believing it's not a scam. In fact, he's looking for another investment opportunity for somebody. So, prove that you've put $3 million in it. Prove that you have $7 million in it. Show us the wallet addresses. Show us how you deposited the money. That is, what you need to do, because otherwise you're just full of shit. And to be honest, and to the point, you really are full of shit, Jonathan, and you're just like a kid. And I'd say that to your face.
This is where I bring the investigation together. There is evidence supporting parts of Mason's defense. He apparently had millions invested himself. He may have lost approximately $7 million with his family, and I have not seen evidence allowing me to state as fact that Mason knew Delgado was operating a Ponzi scheme. But I also cannot ignore his investor-facing role or that November 18th email, when investors were desperately trying to determine whether their money still existed. Mason confirmed a summary saying Goliath could repay everyone and still have a few $100 million left if he had no access to the real financial records. What made him believe that? That is the question I would leave hanging during the live. Nobody should be convicted simply because they were associated with Christopher Delgado, but nobody should be protected from legitimate questions simply because they lost money too.
Yeah, there's got some of my ChatGPT notes in there as well. So, I mean, that's basically it, guys. I mean, this has been a bit of a marathon, but if I was to, I'm going to read some of the last part of half of this, because his argument is he was just an investor. And his argument is he thought it was real. He lost money as well, so he's a victim. And basically everything that he used to convince people to have peace of mind, it's really there. I'm not going to read it all, actually, but I mean, this is a very extensive blog. It's one of the longest ones we've written once again. The money supposedly existed. Everything else was simply preventing investors from getting it. So he was using everything he could to calm the farm. He was telling investors not to be concerned. He was stating that he could see $1 billion worth of crypto in 5 or 6 different crypto wallets. He didn't know the arse end of crypto when he looked at it. Accountability, he cannot hide behind willful blindness. And I think it is evidently fair for investors who trusted him and the public now reading those same documents to surmise the evidence behind the assurances Jonathan Mason helped communicate about Goliath Ventures, because in an investigation of this scale, nobody should be convinced by association. Nobody should be protected from legitimate questions by association either. So he's basically been out there in more than one ways claiming that he is an expert at telling you to do what's with your money. But really, $425 million, Christopher's the only one that's probably, by the sounds of it, 99% sure going to be charged in connection. And here's Jonathan Mason getting away with it free and having no accountability that we can see for his actions. What's going to happen next time Jonathan Mason approaches you as a businessman? Are you going to search for him, do some research on the background of this bottom feeder? Why is this disgusting individual allowed to continue without recourse for his own actions? And this is just Jonathan Mason. We've got images way at the very start. If you go back to our original investigation, I think it speaks for itself. Look, I can tell you something I can do that I don't normally do, and it might be a bit weird, but I have created over 200 images about Goliath Ventures. And the best way to do that is just to show you my Canva, and everything's going to have a story. So let's have a look at this. I'll give you an idea. So the next blog that we're going to do, I don't even know if we can make this bigger. Full screen, probably don't need to. I've done 207 images are in here. Honestly, there's Jonathan Mason. As I just showed you before, we've got Mike, who's claiming these are his vehicles, another co-conspirator. These are all the vehicles that aren't his. He's claiming he's a day trader. Me scratching my head again. What are we doing here? Where did the money go? If it's not in the houses, if it's not in the cars, we found out later on that $174 million went to paying just the co-conspirators. We've got other people that have helped endorse Christopher Delgado. I don't know if you've got your Instagram account back, but everyone sat there, followed Christopher around. You know, we had the Darlene Jones interviews where Christopher got to sit in front of national TV, skite about his wealth like he was some successful businessman and it was just a failed business venture. We heard about the Lamborghini that he purchased for $600,000, spent another $300,000 on it and got a body kit on it, and they finished up selling the car for $625,000, and that car, I think it collected $17,000 for investors. Every car that he owned was leased or had money owing on it. Absolutely sick. So these are just some of the videos. Obviously, Darlene Jones. We've got Justin, who was outside the courtroom yelling at him, which is great because we didn't see much of that. These are the co-conspirators that all went along to the Vault 2025 conference and endorsed bad behavior by Christopher. These guys are all going to walk free. All of these guys in the background are now living on your money. These guys need to have clawbacks. We've got, what do you call it? Mike Shalunsky. We've seen him on the Tate boat endorsing. Don't know what that one's about. There's their photos. But I just thought we'd go through like people like Patrick Bet David. It took $1 million from Goliath Ventures so Christopher could stand on the stage and say that he was doing liquidity swaps. Why did these people get that opportunity to do that? We looked at all Christopher's cars getting repoed, the team behind it, and then we went through, Clayman and Jonathan Mason filed in courts. I go through these images and I'm trying to think, you got press choice here. We've got Stephen, sorry, not Stephen. What's his name? Steve. How can I forget his name? Steve Davis, fireman who encouraged fire people to policemen to invest in Goliath Ventures. Now he put $50,000 into a company called Choice Press, and now he's taking a young couple to the courts because they're trying to gaslight them into, I don't know what he's doing. Matt Burke's no longer in the Redemption Church. Investigators looking into the scam. We've got the Orlando Economic Partnership, who returned $190,000 of money they were given to promote Christopher. The co-conspirators. What have we got here? Victims need to speak out to us. Judges. There's Jonathan Mason there, sweating like I won't say, listening to all these phone, here he is. He's coming up with a whole lot of lies, and we've even got the recordings, but he's going to walk free. I don't know what that one was about. This is the lawyer that Eric Clayman got off a drink driving charge, and then that same lawyer was now involved in with Eric Clayman. They're all connected in some way with a form. Christopher saying he never did any lifestyle images. Well, there he goes. There's the one, and there he is claiming that Mark James was meeting me at the Orlando airport when he picked me up, and there was a photographer there hugging a kiss. These are just, then we found out about the retired couple that was from Wealth MD. These are Matt Burke and John Little, I think. There's the retired couple. The name and shame list, Christopher Delgado, victims speak out. This is when he first got arrested, and we found out he had 18 Rolex watches and 12 sports cars. Now we found out he's got 50 watches. These are other people that, Harry J. Samuels, what's her name again? The bookkeeper, Bringus. This is a $500,000 Christmas event in 2024. Then they spent $9 million in a Christmas event. That's when I went into their Zoom meeting and caused them a bit of havoc. But you get the idea. So we've got over 200. I think Steve Davis was trying to get the ankle bracelet of Christopher Delgado. It's when Christopher got arrested. There he is in jail. David and Goliath, Danny and Goliath. There's Red Raptor and I in the truck in a police chase when I went to America. Very exciting. It just goes on, doesn't it? These guys are claiming that they have lost, like Nick Petrillo, $40 million, and here he is taking his 70-year-old father away for a break. Judge Danny, the family, Christopher and Nick having arguments. Tomo learning how to be a target shooter. Trying to calm the farm when they all found out that they were in trouble. 3 videos in one. Steve Davis versus Danny DeHeck. That was an argument I'll never forget. Town crier, Punic Shaw and Christopher were meant to be having an argument in a local cafe, which we caught on film. Pixel and I watching the movies together, examining evidence. Don't know what that was. CoffeeZilla and I getting together. Eric Clayman, Chris and his rubber ducky. There we are. I don't know what I was doing with that one. Oh, that's right. We went down a few rabbit holes of our investigation. This is like memory lane for me. There's Chris when he ate too many pretzels, and when he was doing goat marketing. There's no doubt about it, guys. We have done an amazing investigation here. Obviously, we've spent far too much time doing it. And you've just got to ask that question, what was all this for? Like, what have we accomplished from this investigation? Has it been worthwhile to us? We went from In-N-Out Burger to a guy that's managed to steal $425 million from people. We've seized bank accounts in America. We've seen them wipe their social media and put Thanksgiving images on here. Everyone left with it holding the bag. Christopher taking off to Dubai after, Tomo, a corrupt policeman. Tomo trying to calm the farm with Goliath strong social media post when the ship started going down. This is when social media wasn't that, when creating these images wasn't that fantastic. But not too bad. The images have certainly got better. When we found them on that cruise ship, Christopher, Tomo, and Mike, we found them. You cannot hide from the Avengers. We've got Steve Davis doing press releases, claiming he's somebody. So I redid the image. Pixel even looks next to that. You know, there's so many images here. I don't even know what the very first image was we started. That's right. These guys, the Alexander brothers, both now incarcerated. People who are associated with Chris, associating with them. They're incarcerated for doing heinous acts to women. Christopher spending six figures on a liquor, on a nightclub spend in one night. You know, lavish opening events. And that must have been it. Oh, there we go. Oh, God, these are memory lanes. But you get the idea. Just Crypto G investigations. Yeah. So what was the very first one? The House of Cards. So these are the people who originally started the plotting. And that was February 2025 event. Persons of interest as grew. Christopher going and having parties in Munich. Jason Girillo being involved. You know, where does it stop? You know, Kat, ex-girlfriend of Chris, her father was accused of stealing a watch of Chris's. JB, who now supports the channel, who's removed all content of him interviewing Goliath Ventures. He'll think twice about who he supports anymore. Look, guys, I think you can see I've put everything into this. I'm looking forward to seeing people in America when I get there. If you can support me in any which way or form, it would be much appreciated. Big donations are what I'm looking for. And there was the very first image that I did, and that was the House of Cards. Christopher Delgado on the 3rd of September. This was the image that I did, and it was all about the House of Cards. Susie's been, what has she got here? We've got some links here coming through. Let's have a look. You should be, we'll do that one. Oh, what have we got? Oh, so this car's for sale, is it? I suppose we've got a pretty good soundtrack with that one as well, have we? So that looks like Christopher's car has now got a wrap on it. So that's one of the cars that's been repossessed. And now it's owned by the same company that did the original fit out on it. How lovely is that? Let's have a look at this one. What have we got now? Goliath Ventures logo. I see. So this is the before and after. So this was when, you know, you can see how the circle of money travels, can't you? So here's Goliath Ventures ghost car. I'd hate to think how much he spent to get that fitted out. And then what did we get? A few months later, it's back with the same people who've probably bought that car and re-decked it out. It's just gutting to see where all the money went. That's what really happens. There might be another vehicle here as well. Let's have a look. Yeah, and if you're good at investigating, what have we got here? Wishing Lord Dago a happy birthday. Hope your party was epic. Thank you to SMN Events for thinking of... Now, we were aware somebody else was asked to cater that event, and they refused to. So Chris, no doubt, put this message up out of spite because it was for his kid's birthday, I thought. Could be wrong. Anyway, and the other one we've looked at is a couple of website addresses. If you're clever enough, you can probably grab enlarge my screen and grab that address that you see there, or go back to the live chat session. 31 days ago, we're still seeing money being moved around. Is that 2.5 million? These are wallet addresses where we can track money that's been, yep, so it is, look, yeah, so here's money linked, I've already labelled it, aren't I a good boy? Linked to Nick Petrillo. 31 days ago. Nick Petrillo, $2.5 million. Have I got that right? That's crazy. And then we've got another one that's linked to Nick Petrillo. This one's got $1.8 million in it. So if you want access to this money and you want to go after it, this wallet here had been funded by Nick Petrillo. Nick Petrillo recruited 900 people into Goliath Ventures, and it's just gutting to see these guys walking free. But that's what happened. Yep, $2.5 million. Even I can't comprehend that. So there's $2.5 million in this wallet, and it's linked to Nick Petrillo. So Nick's doing all right. Where do you think he got that money from? Oh, that's right. He tried to sue Christopher Delgado for another $40 million of reward money that he claims he didn't get paid. And we can link this back to old wallets, and we can see activity that was 31 days ago. So I presume that was associated to the phishing attempt. or is this actually, that's interesting. Yeah, so it may have not had activity. It may just be, no one wants to seem to want that money. So if you are a victim and you want to stay on, say, on the stage, if you want to go and be a victim, make sure you go to my YouTube account, go to the post area. About 20 posts back, we tell you how you can become a victim. I would stand up in courts and I would say we have tracked over $10 million on the blockchain associated to wallet addresses of the co-conspirators. Why is the government not demanding questions to where that money originally come from? Why are people still driving around in these Rolls Royces and these Lamborghinis and McLarens who haven't obviously paid for them with good standing money? Why are those people not being held accountable? Now, there's two lots of accountability here. There's either you're going to get all the money that you ever made from Christopher Claus back, which is pretty good. If you can't convict somebody for criminal charges, then why not employ what I believe is a fair system, and that's the Dubai rule, where you're guilty until proven innocent. That is a far better way of doing it in my things. But the DOJ are more concerned about keeping their 92% success rate. When they charge you or indict you, they have a 92% success rate of getting you in jail. I don't care about your percentage. I want you to charge these co-conspirators for their time and make them do time, or let them spend all their money trying to defend themselves in the courtroom. Obviously now you've got Jonathan Mason, who's firing letters back and forth to the courts, already filed a motion to dismiss, trying to get himself clean from his involvement of Goliath Ventures, who's still out there on the phone telling investors who have lost $9 million that he's encouraging them to recruit people into a new Ponzi scheme that is ran by Matt Burks, who obviously everyone now knows as the owner or the founder of My Black Block, not to be mistaken as My Black Rock, a company who claimed to have audited Goliath Ventures and told people that 115% of investors' funds were secure at all time in a 12-month period beforehand. Jonathan Mason now claims that he took Matt Burks on face value and thought he was telling the truth. In the meantime, Matt Burks now goes off to another company, Onyx Reserve, and claims that he's an audit company when he's just made the worst audit of his life, no proof. And then, so all this stuff must add up to something in the real world. Either if you've got money and you're looking to invest it, you need to ask those hard questions, or come back to the Avengers and let us investigate companies that you are currently invested in, and let us prove to you that these companies need to provide you the documents before you part with your 401ks, you mortgage your house, you put your credit card money on the line, or you even get money out of your own personal bank account and push it all over like you're at the casino, because you might as well be at the casino. It's just absolutely batshit crazy. Anyway, guys, that's me. Hope you've enjoyed that. I will actually chop this video up and re-put it back on the internet so it's a bit shorter. Hopefully we've made a difference. I'm sorry if you've lost money. If you want to lose a little bit more money, help support me. Get me to Orlando. And, well, I'm going to Orlando anyway, but I don't want to be broke doing it, because at the end of the day, I'm going to be the one that's financially hard done by. But anyway, I'll see you in Orlando. Reach out to me on Signal or my website via deheck.com. If you want to reach out to me, there's a contact us page. You can make it anonymous if you like, but I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you to Susie for being in the chat room this late at night. You go to bed, get some sleep, girl, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the not too distant future. I'm Danny DeHeck, and we are the Avengers.
A month, that was the deal. Liquidity pools made the promise feel real. 100 grand minimum money wired in. Call it a joint venture. Let the profits begin. Then another layer made the story feel safe. A report on the reserves put some trust in the place. 115% enough for every demand, but the numbers they reviewed came from Goliath's own hands. And standing in the middle was a familiar name. Jonathan Mason had millions in the game. If he's risking his fortune, what could possibly go wrong? That kind of confidence can carry people along. Maybe he believed it. Maybe he was fooled. Maybe he trusted the people who were making all the rules. But when you're reassuring others, there's a question you can't ignore. What did you know? And what did you check before? Victim or promoter? Where does the evidence go? Millions on the inside, but how much did you really know? Goliath said the money was there, enough to settle every claim. A few $100 million left over, that's what they said in Goliath's name. Victim or promoter, I'm not here to decide. I'm following the documents to see what's on the other side. September brought a withdrawal, 600,000 on the line. One side says October, Mason says one day's the time. Then November came knocking, 700,000 remained. Prestige wanted out now, but this withdrawal wasn't the same. November 17, the distribution stopped. A forensic audit was the reason, but confidence never dropped. They promised proof was coming, said the money would be paid. Then came a phone call, and another promise was made. Eric Clayman on the telephone, investors wanted facts. Enough to cover everybody, that's how Reese recorded the chat. 100, 200 million supposedly left when payments were through. Then Mason read the summary and said that number wasn't true. Not smaller, bigger. A few $100 million was the correction that he made. Other than that, it looks accurate. Those words remain today. Victim or promoter? Where does the evidence go? Millions on the inside, but how much did you really know? Goliath said the money was there, enough to settle every claim. A few $100 million left over, that's what they said in Goliath's name. Victim or promoter, I'm not here to decide. I'm following the documents to see what's on the other side. Christmas brought another story. Now an MSB caused the wait. Approved back in November, January was the date. January came and went. Now approval wasn't done. International wallets restricted. Another explanation had begun. Audit, banking, wallets, more delays. But every changing explanation still carried the same refrain. The money is there, you just can't have it today. Then Goliath came crashing down and federal charges came. Hundreds of millions in the allegations. Delgado pleaded to his crimes, but guilt doesn't travel by association. That's not how evidence works. You don't convict another man because you know what Delgado did first. Now Mason wants sanctions, says Prestige went too far. Says show me the evidence that proves I knew what you say you are. That's a question worth answering, and I'll apply that standard too. But if you couldn't see the records, what made the promises true? Victim or promoter? That's the question that remains. Were you trapped inside Goliath or helping strengthen its claims? 3 million of your own money Investors needed answers and asked if their money was secure. What evidence were you relying on to tell them there was more? Victim or promoter, I won't manufacture blame. I'll follow every document and put the evidence against the claims. No guilt by association, no innocence by association too. Just documents, dates, and questions, and what the evidence can prove. A few 100 million left over. Other than that, it looks accurate. So Jonathan Mason, what did you know? So Jonathan Mason,